What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Pony Lawson, and I like to talk about your tattoos. This week we're diving back into Reddit tattoos, breaking down some of the best and some of the worst tattoos that Reddit has to offer. So let's just jump into it. Alright, this first one is a Black Widow spider on this girl's shoulder, and the title says by myself, so I'm wondering if this person did this tattoo to themselves. If that's the case, then I am wildly impressed. Just the angle alone, I'm sure she's looking in a mirror, so this has to be a difficult one. But let's just throw out the idea that maybe they did this themselves, and we'll just break down the tattoo itself. The one thing that impresses me most about this tattoo is the shadow coming from the spider on the shoulder. I think they did an excellent job making it look as realistic as possible. However, when it comes to the spider itself, that really doesn't look super realistic, and I think they probably could have used a little more glare on there to make it look shiny or reflective. I also think that throwing a little bit of red in that hourglass piece on its back would make this thing instantly recognizable as a Black Widow. Not that it doesn't, but again, just that little bit of pop color would have really helped. I am unsure about the spider webs, as it just looks like a dirty spider. That's usually not where the webs come from. It kind of looks like it got caught in its own web. Or maybe it had a battle with another spider and this is the outcome. Maybe I'm being a little too literal, but that's just where my head goes. We don't really see spider webs on top of spiders like this. They're usually hanging from a web or walking across them, kind of like Jesus walks across water. They're not usually hung up in their own shit. Another problem I see is their back leg kind of gets hidden within the rest of their body. So I really think that that's where those extra glares would have helped out. Something that I think would have helped out with the realism of this tattoo is the shadows themselves. Although they do look nice and realistic, I don't think that those shadows would be as dark as they are, especially on the bottom. What I mean by that is, those shadows should be darkest where the legs are touching the skin and almost fade away where those legs are getting higher up away from the skin. And as the legs come back down toward the body, that's where those shadows will become present again. I think where the artist did the best job representing that is right here on that leftmost leg. It just looks most realistic compared to the rest of them. But if the artist did tattoo this on themselves, I think it does make it that much more impressive. Either they broke their neck while they tattooed themselves for a couple hours, or they looked in the mirror to do this. Either way, it's not an easy task. She didn't do this to herself. After reading the comments, it appears that she just made this tattoo but didn't do it on herself. So now this tattoo is just okay. But this was posted by Thistle Apprentice, which I'm assuming means that she's an apprentice doing this tattoo, which is maybe why it doesn't look as realistic as some other spiders. This is still a newer tattooer, so we'll give her a pass. Good job. This next one is a tattoo that is titled The Tattoo I Graduated My Apprenticeship With, and this is definitely a solid tattoo. I would say that this one is well out of the apprentice zone. The reds are saturated, you've got nice texture in the skeleton fingers, and altogether it's just built up very nicely. There's a nice contrast happening between that flat red and black skull compared to that texture in that skeleton hand. It's also got some really nice white highlights in there that aren't overdone. They're very little tiny white highlights, but they just add to the texture of the piece. It really makes me wonder if this is their design, or they found it somewhere online. I guess I should read the comments. I still have the image from when you posted this design on Reddit in November 2021. Okay, after reading the comments, it does seem like this is the artist's design. So big ups to you, big doof nerd, badoof nerd. But I do want to bring more attention to that skeleton hand because I do think it has a lot of nice details. Not only the thin lines that run through those fingers, but also the stipple shading that's happening as well. There's a lot going on here even though it doesn't seem like it, and it is executed very well. But overall, excellent work. I think you're gonna be all right, big badoof. Next! Ooh, Mojo Jojo. Where does Mojo Jojo come from? I feel like I've seen that or heard of that before. Ah, got it. After consulting my handy-dandy notebook, I realized this is a rendition from a Powerpuff Girls character, which this is great to see. I love when people take an already existing piece of artwork and completely remake it to their own, and this is exactly what that artist did. This thing is a very nice piece and it fits the leg well. This is one of those tattoos that were made for the area, and I actually do enjoy that brain sticking out up top, because if it weren't there, I think that area would have been just a little too boring, especially with all those skulls at the bottom and that nice detail in the face. That top would have just been left maybe too empty. And I do like how they turned the purple circles at the top of the hat into jewels. They are a little wonky, especially since I could see the stencil on the side and they were perfect on the stencil, but nice idea regardless. And I do like the idea of that moon sitting behind Mojo, but I would have liked to seen some yellow in there or something just to break apart all those grays and whites. And as I said before, I really do like your spin on this. It's nice to see that you didn't just copy paste something onto somebody's skin, like I do all the time. But solid work, Lee. Let's see what we've got next. How to Summon a Demon by Scott Olson. Step 1, carve a star into your palm. Step 2, sprinkle some pop rocks onto your palm. Step 3, shoot a dragon. Is that not what's happening?
It's a goat.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Oh, and I'm sorry, that's step 666, not 3. I feel like you're skipping a few steps here, Scott. Where are steps 3 through 665? This is definitely a fun tattoo, especially if you're into our Lord and Savior, Satan. Is that too far?
This is everything else we've done over the years. People are slowly putting together that Pony is a vegan devil worshiper.
I'm really curious to know what's going on to the right of this tattoo. Looks like some kind of soul soup, I don't know. Definitely another scary devil tattoo. Where's the Ouija board? I'm sure they've got a Ouija board somewhere around the room. If I had to break this down technically, I'd say there are some issues with the hands, but it is supposed to be a funny tattoo. But for instance, like if we look at that bottom hand, that thumb and bottom portion of the hand just look chunky. It almost looks like they're wearing a glove. Maybe they don't want to get their hands dirty with demon juice, I don't know. Wait a minute. Number 2 has 2 right hands.
So is the top one.
How does this make sense? The bottom part is accurate, but this is something that should have been thought of well before placing the actual tattoo. Yeah, I'm wondering if this artist found some hands online that they just traced and didn't even think about it, because that's what it appears to be. That is hilarious. I mean, if you're not thinking about it, it looks right, but when you really look at it, you can tell that those are 2 right hands. And now I don't even like this tattoo anymore. And that blade is crooked. Next we've got a little cow that says, "My first tattoo, done by Steven." Well, this tattoo looks very light. It doesn't really look like those blacks are put in there very well. And I imagine this thing is only gonna get lighter with time. And it really looks like they used gray wash here rather than solid black. But reading the comments, the artist said that it was backlit, so that's why it was blown out. But I can't really see a whole lot of light in the background, so...
You sure about that?
I don't know, just my take. Cute tattoo, I just don't know about the execution. Damn. Reddit is coming in with the heat today. This one was done by Emily Rose Murray, and I know that name super well. Emily Rose Murray is an amazing tattoo artist, and you can clearly tell by looking at this photo. This thing has all the right properties to make a beautiful looking sleeve. This tattoo really moves your eye all over the place. You start up at that red flower, and the snake kind of carries your eyes through the rest of the arm. And the attention to detail to this tattoo is just on point. And I appreciate that Emily used a nice peach tone in there for the middle flower, rather than just using that same red throughout the entire piece. And that snake's face is menacing. That's something that I like to see on my snakes.
Snake.
There's no doubt that this is an amazing tattoo, and you guys should definitely do yourselves a favor and check out Emily Rose Murray's work. Let's see what else we've got. All right, this next one is a Negroni by me, Amanda, out of Black Dot Tattoos in Singapore. I'm not sure what a Negroni is. I'm sure it's some sort of drink.
Obviously, it's some sort of drink.
Did you look at the tattoo?
Clearly, it's some sort of beverage. As far as the tattoo goes, I'm not so sure if all that detail is gonna stay that way 5-10 years from now, but only time will tell. Especially after all that white fades away, we're not gonna really be left with the same contrast that it has now. And if I'm going even further in time, I would say that those yellows and oranges definitely aren't going to be as strong as they are now, so it might just look very flat. But who knows? We'll see in a few years. What's interesting is I thought that these bubbles were actually part of the tattoo, but after looking closer, I realized that that's just the gel on top. And I'd know that gel from anywhere. That has to be none other than the sponsor of this channel, Mad Rabbit. And wouldn't you know, Mad Rabbit has something for everyone. Whether it's tattoo aftercare, body wash, lotion, they've got it all. So make sure you head on over to madrabbit.com and use code PONY20 to save 20% off of your entire order. All right, let's get back to it. Oh, this one's sick. Squirtle's playing poker. This is what I'm talking about. This is what the internet's about. Tattoos just like this. I'm excited because I've seen this piece of art everywhere. It's usually the dogs playing poker and the bulldogs being a little tricky, passing a card under the table. But see, with little Squirtle, he's passing the card under the table as well. This thing's got it all. I love this tattoo.
Damn, tell them how you really feel, bro.
Oh, it's so good. And I love the little bug-eyed Squirtles on either side without the glasses. They're obviously on something, but even design aside, I think that this tattoo is technically on point. All the little wood grain in the chairs, the lighting in the background. I would love this tattoo, and I don't even love Pokemon. Pokemon, gotta catch 'em all. That is where this is from, right? And something else I love about this tattoo is the mix of color and black and gray. Usually you know I'm not the biggest fan of that, but I love how all the Squirtles themselves are fully rendered in color while you've got the entire rest of the tattoo kept in black and white. The black and white just really keeps that vintage look. But great idea and amazing execution. Let's see what else we've got. Damn, this one's funny. Rework done by Raydell. It used to say Dustin, Now it says dusting off the past. Really not a bad way to get rid of an ex's name. Something tells me she had that planned before she got that name tattooed. Dusting off Dustin. I wonder how Dustin feels about this. And the ghost line that they added around the name just kind of really helps beef up that tattoo and it helps tie it all together. I'm not sure why they changed that S to a cursive S. They could have just added a G to the end, but I guess this kind of makes it into something entirely new. The off the path itself looks a little weird, but again, it works for what it is. So nothing crazy here, but it's definitely a clever way to get rid of an ex's name. Halftone Girl done by Clara Welsh. Damn, this is another solid tattoo. This thing is done very well. I absolutely love the halftone texture that this piece has, along with that stipple brick in the background. It really has a nice contrast of texture. And I love how they kept the glasses skin tone, giving it some sort of clarity. If they were to have tattooed those red, it probably would have looked like some kind of buggy-eyed character. I would almost bet that this artist dived into some sort of comic book character development at some point in their past. And not to be weird, but her butt looks amazing. Technically speaking. So another dope tattoo brought to you by Reddit. Let's see what's next. Country Toads, take me home. Another badass tattoo coming in with this Country Toads, take me home. This thing cracks me up. And I love his little cowboy hat. I'm sure it took a while to find a hat that size.
Uncle Pony, come on in with the hits.
Ba-dum-dum. But in all seriousness, this thing is done really well. I love that red background and that black shading coming down from the bottom of the frog that just gives it some nice separation and pop. And his pink toes and belly are just so cute. And us Indiana boys know all about that wheat in the mouth. Wheat. Yeah, I know, right? You sound like my fucking hype man. Ryan the hype man back here. Wheat. I love that wheat, and his eyes looking at you. I'm also a fan of that carefree expression that the frog has. It kind of looks like every animal that you've ever dressed up. Like, why is this shit on me? He's just so cute. Something else that you know I love is the varying line weight. And even though there isn't a whole lot of line weights happening here, the stuff that is there is solid. Even when you look at the lettering, they did a really great job here, and that's usually the one thing that people slack on first, which is unfortunate because that's usually where your eyes go first, is any sort of lettering in a tattoo. So it's nice to see that the artist actually put in the time and made those letters nice and clean. But yeah, once again, this is a really cool and fun tattoo. And speaking of take me home, I kind of want to go home and dress my dogs up like cowboys. So thank you so much for sticking around. Remember, if you want to see your tattoos featured here, you can send them in to ponycritiques@gmail.com. Please do not forget to subscribe while you're here, and as always, I will see you all next week.